What's going on, everybody? Brandon Morton here for another episode of Midwest Swing. You can find us on Twitter at Midwest Swing Pod. We're part of the Zone Coverage Podcast Network, and thanks for joining us. First and foremost, it's a late night because the Twins are on the West Coast. You are checking out Midwest Swing not only in video form here on Periscope or on YouTube, but also on your favorite podcast app, whether it's on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or Libsyn. We're available on each of those platforms. Again, thank you for joining us and checking this podcast out. We have a lot of fun with it. And it's, Ryan Sawyer is chiming in saying, hey, it's been a while. Yes, it has been a while. I've been on vacation for a couple weeks and just been kind of busy. Did get a show in between the two vacations, but did not post it as a podcast because, honestly, I didn't think it was very good, which nobody's a bigger critic of me than myself, which is probably healthy. But anyway, we are coming at you during the Twins game here. Obviously, if you listen to this in podcast form, it is not going to be live like it is now. No, Shane Jackson, I see you over there creeping. I am not an ace. Neither is Bartolo Colon. Oh, Miguel Sano just got hit by a pitch. That is not good for Twins fans. And if you're listening to this in podcast form, like I said, you will probably be hearing this well after the fact, and we'll probably know that he's fine or, whatever he is. So we won't focus too much on the current game because it's not going to be very up to date. But if you do have questions or want to put up some live chatter with me, feel free to put it on Twitter at Brandon_Warren, because that's going to be the easiest way for me to see what you have to say. I have my tweet deck up on the screen beneath my phone, which is broadcasting here. And so, if you have anything you want to ask, we can. Okay, if you're watching from a link on Twitter, I will do my best to try to read the questions from the screen too, if I can help it. So with that, we'll just kind of dive right in. E_Dilla wants to know if I think Bartolo Colon could contribute from the bullpen. Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't dismiss it out of hand, but let me just say there's a few layers here. First and foremost, I think with all this talk about him possibly wanting to retire, I do not believe bullpen is in the mix. So I'm not saying he couldn't be decent, but I just don't, he's not a kind of guy whose stuff plays up in a bullpen role enough to really make any difference. And so, no, I don't think it's really an option. I think it's starter or get out of town. Mill Daddy wants to know who goes down tonight to make room for Byron Buxton. I think it's going to be Granite as much as, I don't know. I think it's going to be Granite just because they do have to be creative when they're adding Garcia here to the roster still. And as much as I know they want to get back to 12 pitchers, they're going to have to be, again, they're going to have to be creative because, they could send out Boshiers, they could send out Presley, but both of those guys have been okay, so it's not really justifiable, and Belisle's been better lately. I know everybody would like to ditch him too as well, but I just don't think he's going anywhere either. I did see Luke Inman ask on the app my current prediction for the World Series. Oh man, that was an ugly play by Taylor out there and left. I think the Dodgers are probably going to be the favorite from the National League. They've just been the best team in baseball, frankly. I think you could make an argument for the Astros, and so I think for me it's probably Astros, Dodgers right now. But I don't think you can sleep on the Cubs, and I definitely would not sleep on the Nationals, especially with how good and how healthy up until now Steven Strasburg has been. Now Strasburg goes on the shelf with yesterday's start just a little bit after Clayton Kershaw. So I am a little hot and bothered by that. But I don't know. I do think, though, if I was to pick a World Series right now, I'd probably be Houston and the Dodgers, which is a very, very boring pick because it's the two best teams in the league right now. Yeah, getting some comments on Eddie Rosario. I mean to tell you, I did not believe what I was saying as far. Let's just say this: when I broke down Eddie Rosario as far as this off season. I did not expect to find what I found, which was a 900 plus OPS to each outfield field, so left, center, right. So to that degree, again, reminder, if you have questions, please send them to me on Twitter if you can, at Brennan_Warren, because then they'll stay on my screen longer. If you have the option, if you can't, just keep sending them, and I'll see them as possible. With Rosario, yeah, so I thought it was going to be a situation where if he could reel in the discipline a little bit, it would allow his self as a hitter to grow, to develop. And the biggest thing I was worried about was, it's like a caged lion, and if you try to take away some of what makes it a lion, you might think that you're doing what's best for it, but are you going to take away what makes it what it is? If you take away Eddie Rosario's aggressiveness, does he still hit the ball hard? Does he still spray the ball to all fields? And I think that it's a situation where you do have to question whether or not that would be, that would be a thing. Wow, they just gave him a double on that? Yikes. I did not think that would be a double. Anyway, so I was surprised going into it what I found when I researched Rosario, and to find out that he had hit so well to each of the fields. And so I was impressed by that and did not expect to find that as I was researching. And so to say, I think a lot of times when we do research, we have a predetermined notion in our head and then go to prove that. For me, it was me just basically looking at his numbers and his splits and then coming to a conclusion that I did not intend to come to in the first place. And I got some really good quotes from James Rowson on the last homestand on, I want to say, Saturday. And so those will be up as a podcast here in the next couple days, maybe on probably on Wednesday. We got Mike Berardino coming back on tomorrow. And so I think that it'll be midweek probably as the Twins continue this West Coast swing that has started tonight. People asking me my take on the Jaime Garcia trade. Please, if you have the opportunity, check out my post on zonecoverage.com. I'll give you the cliff notes if you all promise to go check it out after we're done here. The big thing for me is, but basically what I concluded at the end was that Falvey and Levine aren't stupid. They understand that this Twins team is playing above their heads. They went out and got help that didn't cost them any significant talent that will help them in the near future. So, if they can continue to keep playing over their heads, and maybe they can, maybe they can't, Garcia will help that. He will help whatever their bottom line is, whether he replaces Bartolo Colon or Kyle Gibson. And he's been almost 2 wins above Kyle Gibson this season in Fangraphs WAR. So to say that wouldn't be a significant upgrade, as someone was trying to tell me on Twitter, is absolutely not true. He's a big upgrade on Kyle Gibson, at least in terms of season long. Gibson's been a little better of late, but I do think that Gibson could possibly be helpful out of the bullpen. Maybe you see the velocity spike, maybe the control or command reins in a little bit. See some strikeouts. The slider gets to be relied on a little bit more. Sinker slider out of the pen with a little better command. Yeah, you might have something there. And maybe you keep him out there for a while and then bring him back as a starter later, which has worked for guys in the past. It helped Carlos Carrasco, guys like him. But Carrasco was younger, a little more projectable. He was a little ways down his career path, but some guys need that change to just kind of rattle their cage a little bit. And I don't mean that in like a demeaning sense, but just kind of find out more about themselves in terms of preparation or whatever it takes to become a reliever. So if Gibson goes to the pen, I think Garcia is a nice addition. I still think Garcia is a useful addition. And in fact, what I wrote today was he's basically the left-handed version of what they hoped to get from Gibson. Just a little under 7 strikeouts per 9. Spotty command this year, but in general, very good command and lots of ground balls. He's more of a low 90s guy, but really good whiff rates on each of his off-speed and breaking pitches. So if he can pitch from ahead, you obviously are going to have success as well. Any thoughts of the Twins carrying 5 catchers on the 40-man roster? It's a good question. They have it in the past, as far as I know. I think there was a stretch where there were like 4 or 5 teams carrying 5 catchers on the 40 at one point in the last year or so. I suspect that'll be very temporary. I don't know the record is exactly safe on the 40-man roster. It probably was more of a money thing for the Twins to take a few $100,000 off the payroll of the Braves, in addition to what they're taking from the Garcia contract as well. Yeah, because I looked at record, he throws out like 28% of base runners, which is really not, it's about league average. I think he's right around or right a little under. And he's hardly played in the big leagues this year at all. Not much of a hitter, doesn't look to be much of a catch and throw guy, and so that's just me scouting the stat sheet. I'm not saying I know anything about Anthony Recker other than that he hit pretty well last year in I want to say Atlanta, before the Braves went out and got Tyler Flowers and Kurt Suzuki, are both doing pretty nice jobs for them this year. So obviously not a lot of at-bats to go around for Recker in Atlanta this year, and he gets a little bit of a change of pace here to see what will happen. I did just see a question, and now I've lost it on the screen. So if you just submitted one, oh, there we go. Jairus wants to know any possible bats the Twins could look at before the deadline. Somebody asked about a reliever too. So let's just discuss the deadline here for a second. I think if you had told me the Twins were trying to buy and then kind of put like constraints on me as to what I think they should do as far as a path, I would have traded for Jaime Garcia, Lance Lynn, a starter who's not going to break the bank. Lance Lynn might be worth more from the Cardinals, of course, but any type of starter that's not going to kill your prospect budget, unless, of course, you're going to go big for someone who is a long-term bet, a Sonny Gray, who I'm getting a lot of questions on, a Marcus Stroman, that kind of deal. I also think that, so I would have said one starter and one reliever, and I think Pat Neshek is the guy I keep coming back to as far as Neshek's the guy I keep coming back to because as of his age and money, yes, I did see the nice Mauer play. For Neshek, it's money as far as taking back money. His age, the Minnesota factor as well. I think a trade for him makes sense. He's pitching so well, but I still don't think you're going to have to give up anything too terribly crazy. The Phillies' eyes that I trust said that if you gave them a 4th or 5th starter or a flawed bat with some bench potential, you could be looking at getting Neshek back. The one name I floated was Daniel Palka. He said, maybe not. Then I said, what about Ryan Eads? Said probably not there either as well. Then I ended up going with Nico Goodrum. And so I don't know if Nico Goodrum is the kind of guy they would want, but that's the kind of guy I would dangle. If I have a team, I want a guy like Nico Goodrum on my bench, I think, as far as he can do a little bit of everything. Nothing particularly great, but he's a big athletic guy. He can run, he can do a few things, and he's going to be cheap. So to that end, I think Goodrum could be, a good addition for a team that has an expensive and aging reliever to trade. To that sense too, I do think that the Twins should sign Neshek in the offseason too. That's just me though. I think my path would have been a reasonably priced starter and a reliever. It's got to be a reliever who can help you. Neshek definitely can. I'm not trading for Brad Hand. The price is going to be way too high, and it's just not going to be worth it. You want to be the team that creates Brad Hands, not the team that trades for them. I think we've seen that with the Boston Red Sox. No, I don't buy the Brad Brock question either, Ryan. Brad Brock's going to be expensive as heck, so I just don't think it's going to be a good move either. Somebody asked about Glenn Perkins. Yeah, the last we heard, he threw 8 pitches the other day, punched out 2 guys, and we're not counting Jack Morris. Punched out 2 guys, hit 90 with a fastball, worked in the slider. So you're probably looking at about a month away from him coming back. Starts his rehab stint, so he's got 30 days. I don't know. I mean, there's never been a point this year where I've been confident saying yes or no for Perkins coming back. And anybody that I think that has said so vehemently either doesn't have any skin in the game or is just being reckless. So I really don't think that anybody knows. Wow, that was a nice inning by Matt Belisle. I really don't think that anybody knows if Perkins is going to come back. Jarvis asking, what did Morris say to start the beef? It's actually a little bit up in debate. So Glenn Perkins was talking with some fans on Twitter, and somebody had sent him a tweet that said, Glenn Perkins nobody works harder than Glenn Perkins. Just ask him. Mike's sending that here as well. And then Perkins replied, yes, this is the same Jack Morris who once said that I don't talk to a woman unless I'm on top of them or underneath them. Something to that effect. So, basically Glenn Perkins was outing him as a sexist, which, that quote is actually about 30 years old or so. So it's not like he's bringing to light any new information. In fact, I believe it was a Texas Rangers woman reporter that was on the site at the old Arlington Stadium where that happened. But, yeah, so I don't know. I think it was good on Perkins. I get a little bit tired of the old guard in baseball as far as guys saying the game isn't as, tough as it was in their day or anything. And, I've had people tell me, as far as fans, that they don't think Perkins works very hard, but I've never heard it from anybody who, who I trust from the organization. So I just give him the benefit of the doubt. He seems to be a decent enough guy. I don't talk to him a whole lot in the clubhouse. He's not there that often either. He's rehabbing. But I definitely don't think of him as the media guy that we can't criticize or anything. It's just dude's coming back from shoulder surgery. He took a sweetheart deal with the Twins and got hurt. These things happen, so I really don't have a problem with it. Javen Olmscheid wants to know, do you see the Twins making another trade, such as Gray, Stroman, Neshek, Hand, Bautista? Somebody else asked about Bautista as well. I just do not think, Mill Daddy's been asking about that. I just don't think Bautista is in the cards because he's got a lower weighted runs created plus than Robbie Grossman, who he'd be replacing. You're not going to displace any of the three outfielders, and Grossman should be playing every day too. So I don't think Bautista makes sense for this team right now. So I don't know. That's just my take. Would I give up a ton for Stroman or Gray? For me, probably more Stroman, just because I think I trust him a little bit more. Sonny Gray has been really great of late, but he was just so bad last year. So I don't know. I think Stroman's a little bit healthier. He's got, the knee thing he had, but I think it's going to be all right. Yeah, lots of questions coming in here, guys. Kepler, Stewart, and Reed be enough for Stroman? No, it would not. My deal for Stroman was Kirilloff, Gordon, Romero, and I think Blankenhorn. I think it was Kirilloff, Gordon, Romero, Blankenhorn. You could flip-flop Romero or Gonsalves, whichever you pick. I suspect that the Blue Jays would want Romero, but I would be okay with either or. But yeah, I do that deal all day long. I know that a lot of Twins fans don't want to trade their prospects, but honestly, I definitely would for Stroman, who is signed through, I want to say 2019 or 2020. It might be 2020. So yeah, with Gray, I'm just a little more worried with health and stuff. But they're both smallish guys with without strong frames. So there's some risk there. There's risk with any pitcher, which is something to think about. I did see someone saying about upgrading on Grossman. I just keep him out there because, first of all, he's probably got the best eye on the team. He gets on base, doesn't have a ton of pop, but he's one of their probably 6 or 7 best hitters. So I just think he deserves to be in there every day. He's obviously a cut below the Sano's and guys of those world. But yeah, Jarvis, I agree. Joe's eye is probably better, but Grossman gets on base more, so I'd probably have Robbie bat ahead of him for that reason. But either way, they're both good. I agree too. Robbie should be batting leadoff, and I think Dozier should be batting like fifth, because I don't know. I just think if Robbie led off, you'd have more opportunities for Dozier to drive in runs. But that's just my take. So I don't know, Javen, if I addressed your question. I don't think I don't think they should trade for Brad Hand. Batista, I don't think Batista is going to be an option. Mill Daddy wants to know, what right-handed bats do I see the Twins targeting? None really, honestly, because I just don't know where you play them. I mean, in theory, you could trade for Zach Kozart to play short, but that just doesn't make any sense to me. You're not going to do anything behind the plate. Don't think you're going to do anything at DH. I don't know. I mean, I did see someone suggest Marcell Ozuna or something of that like, or to see who's available from the Marlins, who are kind of screwy right now. Yeah, I mean, Ozuna's been just unbelievable this year, but then you have to really believe too that he's sustainable too, which is obviously an awful lot to buy into. Jarvis wants to know when we'll see Perkins. Yeah, I would suggest Perkins maybe here in the next 30 days. I think he'll come back. I really do. But I don't feel strong enough to be like, yes, for sure. I just feel like, I think there's a fairly good chance. Oh, Park. Okay, sorry. I don't know that we'll see Byung-Ho Park again. I really don't think it's in the cards, because I just don't think he's ever going to hit enough at AAA to force his way back onto the 40-man roster. But a right-handed hitter they could go get, and people are mentioning him in the chat here tonight, Mitch Garver, who's absolutely killing Rochester. There's no reason that he couldn't be up here, even as a third catcher, left field, first base. Play a little bit with Maurer at first. You probably wouldn't play him in left field very much, but I did talk to some people who've seen him play in Rochester who have said, yeah, he looks fine out there. He's not, he's not going to make you forget that he was, not a natural left fielder, but he's all right out there. So, the versatility like that, you could have him DH a little bit. If you could have him play 3 or 4 games a week, I think you could probably justify having him up here. That probably comes at the expense, though, of Granite for the time being, which whatever. But again, it's going to get difficult to make all these moves happen because they want to get back to 12 pitchers, and they still have to add Jaime Garcia. So they might have to subtract 2 pitchers to get to where they need to be, plus ship out Granite. Yeah, I saw that foot thing. They might have to ship out Granite to bring back Buxton. So right now, for me, yeah, Granite's going to be a great 4th outfielder. Right now, for me, it's so tough to make these roster predictions that, I don't know. I just think that, I think it makes sense to have Granite, and it makes sense to have Garver on the same bench. I'm just not sure there's enough room to do that, which is unfortunate, but, you do have to keep Escobar around, Polanco out of options, and they love what Jimenez can do for him, too, and I think that's a good guy to have in the clubhouse. So, okay, finally, John Miller. I'm sorry, I keep missing your Tyler Duffy question. He wants to know what's up with Duffy. Good point. I think it's just a workload thing right now because he was so good, and Tuffy. The FIP is still good. Basically, there's strikeouts, there's no walks, and there's grounders. We'll see what happens there. No, I don't think Duffy for Buxton is going to be the move. I don't think they're going to send out Duffy. I think he's pretty safe as far as see what happens. But I do think Duffy has been a little bit overworked, which has led to maybe his struggle. Sorry, I got distracted by somebody having an argument about Woe on Twitter. I get distracted by Twitter sometimes when I'm talking to you guys. So, let's see what other questions. Oh, so we were talking about Duffy. Yeah, I think again he's just being overworked a little bit. I think he's obviously got the reliever pedigree from back in college to the point where I think he'll bounce back. He's just in a little bit of a rut right now, and it comes at a time that is a little better in that Belial is pitching better. Taylor Rogers has done a pretty good job. Presley's looked a little better as well. Boshears has been up and down, but okay. Hildenberger's been really good. We haven't even mentioned him tonight. So it comes at a time where it's it could be better, but it could be again worse. Yeah, boy, they're going to Rogers here. I'm gonna have to see what this lineup looks like. I don't like him facing all these righties. Just seems too risky. But you know what? We'll see what happens. I don't know. I don't know. Thoughts on the Wounded Warriors? Yeah, there's some guys really in trouble out there. I think Shagwa might be the only one we see this year. I guess it doesn't sound like it's thoracic outlet for Jay, but he's just still maybe a bit of a ways behind. So we'll see if he can make it back this year. But I don't think Shagwa had a serious injury. He's just still on the shelf, which is disappointing. But I had high hopes for him. I thought if Kinsler struggled this year, it would be Shagwa or Presley closing. And man, I got some egg on my face over that one. So yeah, I don't know. Let's get those last few questions in here. We're coming up on a half hour. We probably don't want to go that far. So if you guys got questions, let's get them in here quick, and then we'll call it a night before the Twins. We'll see if they can hold off this last year rally from the Dodgers. I did see someone say Seager and Bellinger are coming up yet. So yeah, that's good usage of Rogers, and I don't have any problem with that. What I have, Huascar, Oscar, Enoa, or Nick Birdie going forward right now. Birdie. I just want the guy that's closer to the big leagues. Enoa is probably 4 years away. Birdie may never make the big leagues for all we know, but at least he's closer. John Miller says Presley has been so bad. Yeah, but the stuff is still good. It's the same thing I see when I watch Nick Turley. When the stuff is good, you're going to give guys more chances. As much as it stinks, Presley 98 the other day. 98 the other day against the. Why can't I remember? I just covered the series. Tigers. 98 struck out Cabrera and upped it in the same inning, just like Hildenberger did. So honestly, I think Presley will work his way back into the mix again, which is fine. Yeah, crazy spin on his curve. The slider's over 90, 98 miles per hour fastball. None of it makes any sense. I don't really understand it. So we'll see. All right, guys, that's all I got for you tonight. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the rest of the Twins game. Thanks for checking us out. Midwest Swing Podcast. Make sure to check out my writing, zonecoverage.com. Peace.